Hey there, buddy, friend, guy, and pal. I hope you're having a wonderful day. If you are watching this video, I am assuming it is because you want to hear about my L5S1 microdiscectomy in China. Now, right off the bat, you might be like, why is this guy lying down? That's just because my surgeon has recommended that I lay in bed for 6 weeks. I'm now 5 weeks post-surgery, so I've got 1 week left to go. I'm really looking forward to being able to get up and move around. But before I get too much into detail about that, let's start at the beginning. So like most people who have disc herniation or disc bulge, I didn't know what it was at the beginning. One day I just woke up and my leg was quite sore. I wasn't sure what was going on. I thought maybe I just pulled a hamstring. I was doing a lot of bouldering and a little bit of rock climbing at that point, so it might have had something to do with that. So I had this leg pain, and it wasn't too bad, except for there was a couple days where the pain was just excruciating. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't sit. I couldn't walk. Like, I just had to lie down. But I thought, whatever. It's just a herniated disc. I'll keep it tight. I'll put some ice packs on it. I'll put some heat packs on it. I'll just be very gentle. I won't move around too much, and it'll heal by itself. Everything on the internet told me that a pulled hamstring should heal by itself in about like 2 weeks maybe. So after a month, I started getting quite concerned. So I started going to a physiotherapist. Now, physiotherapists are a little bit hard to find in China, but I got really lucky where there was a quite nice office just down the road from me. I don't speak a lot of Chinese. I can survive is how I would describe it. But this place is really nice. It's run by an expat, and they do get quite a lot of expats coming in. So they always have someone on staff that can help translate for you. So I went in, I saw the physiotherapist, I explained my pain, and he, I guess, agreed that it could have been a pulled hamstring or something. So we did some massages and some stretching, and they also hooked me up to this machine that sent electric pulses into my back, and that felt quite good. So I was going there 2 or 3 times a week for about a month, and I wasn't really seeing any progress. I did try a yoga at one point to kind of deal with my pain, but I didn't go to like a yoga class. I went and I found this really experienced yoga teacher who did like a one-on-one session with me. And we just worked on kind of stretching out my back and stretching out my leg. And for like 2 days after that, I felt really good. But she did warn me, like, I could maybe have a disc herniation at this point, which was the first I'd thought that maybe I would have a disc herniation. And she warned me, yoga might not be the best solution for you. If we can't heal anything, you need to go see a doctor. I never ended up going back to the yoga place because it was a little bit far and it was a little bit expensive. I wish I had, but who knows if it would have helped me in the long run. So I kept going back to the physio, but I was going back less and less because it was expensive. And like I said, I wasn't getting a lot of relief from my pain. About 3 months after the pain kind of started, 3 or 4 months, I finally went to the hospital to get an MRI, and that is a whole experience. I'm not sure what kind of image you have in your head of hospitals in China. I remember before I came, I thought that they probably wouldn't be anything too fancy. But actually, there are some really, really good high-tech, world-class hospitals in China with incredible doctors, incredible machinery. The process of being in a hospital here is a little bit different, especially compared to my home country, where there's just, you need to see a lot of people, basically. Like, you go in, you get a card, then you pay for the doctor, then you go wait, then you see a doctor, then he'll send you off to a test, and then you got to go pay for the test, and then you get the test, and then you get the results, and then you go back to the doctor. So it's a bit of a process, and it can be quite intimidating, especially if you don't speak Chinese that well. The main point is I went and I found out, I had a disc herniation. Turns out my disc herniation was L4 to S1. I had a really small herniation, L4, L5, and I had a fairly large, and I had a bigger one at L5S1. So the doctor there just told me it's quite bad. Like, if there's 3 levels, level 1's not so bad. Level 3 is you definitely need surgery. I'm like a level 2.5. So I wanted to avoid surgery at all cost. He said, well, okay, you can just lie down in bed for 2 to 3 weeks. Don't move, don't get out of bed, and see what happens. So I did that. I laid in bed for 2 weeks. Didn't help, unfortunately. So I still wanted to avoid surgery at all costs. So then I was looking at like lots of videos during this time on YouTube about like how to heal a herniated bulging disc without having to do surgery. So every day I was doing all these like exercises to try to heal this disc by myself. I ended up only working like part-time, like many foreigners in China. I am an English teacher, so I reduced a lot of the classes, and I was doing these exercises every day, but I still wasn't getting any relief. I ended up going to a more traditional Chinese doctor for a while, and that was pretty interesting. It was in the heart of a city, an older part in the heart of the city, so there's like older buildings, and you had to like go down one alley, then another alley, then you go in this back door, and you go up these tiny little concrete steps, and out all the windows you can just see like laundry hanging out the windows and plants and like Chinese tiled roofs, and like far in the back these bright city lights. And then I get to the landing where the doctor's office was, and there's this old Chinese guy, long graying ponytail, sitting at this giant tea table, and on the walls there is all these posters of Chinese medicine and acupuncture points and yin yang, and there's medicine and there's tea and there's incense. And if you've ever spent any time in China, you know that at least with men, it's quite customary to exchange cigarettes when you first meet them. So you walk in. So I walked into this doctor's office. He sits me down, hands me a cup of tea, hands me a cigarette, and then asks me, "What's going on?" Which is quite strange for when you think about going to visit a doctor. But like I said, he's more of a traditional guy. So with him, we did some like heat packs for a while. Then he would give me like a really, really intense and very painful massage where he was hitting a bunch of like pressure points in the back of my leg, in my back. So then we would do cupping on my back. If you've never had it, try it sometime. It's quite relaxing, like after about after a minute or two of just kind of lying there. Your back may have some blood at the end too, so if you're squeamish about blood, I wouldn't recommend it. And then after that, he would slather me up with this something similar, I guess, to like a tiger balm, where it just radiated a lot of heat, and he'd wrap me up in saran wrap so that would trap all the heat in, and the oils or whatever wouldn't evaporate or go away. So I would get like 24 hours of this heat on my back. And that actually, like, I did feel quite good after those for, about a day. And so I did that every other day for about 10 days. So I went about 5 or maybe 6 times. And it was the same procedure every time. And during that time, like, I would, like, go do that, and then I would just spend pretty much the rest of the day lying down in bed. Not sitting, of course. I couldn't really stand very much. Around this period of time is when I started noticing that because I'd been in pain for so long and it was just kept getting worse and worse, my hips were starting to twist. Like I was walking in a very, very twisted way. And I'll add a video here so you can kind of see what I was like at like my worst point.
Hello, my name is Kyle. I am great.
So here's an MRI. You can see just how crooked my spine had become. So after 10 days or so of that, I was feeling pretty good. I was walking a lot straighter, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, the effects of that only lasted for about a week, maybe, and then everything got worse again. So then I went to another doctor who again is traditional, but more focused on specifically back issues. This was a much more professional environment. Where you go in, you bring your MRIs, the master would take a look, then he would like have you stand up, figure out what was wrong with you just from look and touch. And then he'd write some recommendations. So my first day, I went, I saw the master, and then I went and lied down, and I got a nice massage. Honestly, like this massage therapist that I got was the best massage I'm ever going to have in my life. I'll tell you that right now. This guy is amazing, and apparently he is quite well known in this city, and guess in larger China, and he was bragging to me one day about how he's massaged lots of celebrities and stuff. Anyway, I got this massage, and then afterwards, the older master came back in and he did some acupuncture. And then I went to a physiotherapist room where he asked like what I had been doing, kind of helped correct some of my motions and gave me some more suggestions for things to do. Ended up going back to that place once or twice a week just for an hour and a half, 2 hour massage. I did that maybe 6 times. There was no more acupuncture after the first time. It was just massages. But this guy, honestly, he was so incredible. I would go in like crooked. Like, this is how a normal person should stand. My hips were bent way over like this. And at the end of it, I would be walking basically straight again. So which was amazing. Again, about a week after I kind of stopped that, all the progress that I'd made went away. And I think part of the issue with this was because his office was quite far from my home. So it was like an hour in a cab just to get there. And everyone who's had a herniation knows that like sitting down for an extended period of time, not a good idea. So sitting in the cab, you know, had a negative impact on me going there. And then I got the treatment, which, you know, helped me quite a bit. And then I had an hour-long cab ride home, which then I ended up losing basically all the progress at that massage, which was annoying. Eventually, I just got to the point where I said, okay, I need surgery. What was surgery like in China? Well, as I mentioned before, hospitals in China, there are some like really world-class hospitals that are absolutely fantastic, really high tech. They've got incredible systems for taking care of you. Because this was in 2020, yes, China has a very good control on COVID-19, but obviously there's still a lot of safety measures in place. And those safety measures are probably why China's got such a good handle on the COVID-19 right now. So before I could go to the hospital, I needed a COVID test. And then I got into the hospital and they wanted me to be in the hospital for about a week before the surgery. I went through, I don't even know how many tests, but they gave me all kinds of tests before surgery. I did multiple imaging tests to make sure that they could like have a really good idea of what was going on in my spine and exactly where the problems were. They're doing like blood work. They were testing my lung capacity, my heart. Like they did like ECGs and stuff. Like they did a lot of tests to make sure that when I went into surgery, there were going to be no issues. If there were going to be complications, they knew what they were going to be going into it. So I felt really confident going into that surgery that I was going to be well taken care of. So the doctors did sit me down before the surgery and they kind of explained what was going on. And he explained how, you know, I did have a small herniation from L4 to L5, but it wasn't that big a deal. So here's an MRI I got done. You can see the problems here, here, and here. And you can see how that L5S1 is worse than that L4, L5. I know a lot of people have said that they've experienced quite a bit of pain after surgery. I have had zero pain, which was quite remarkable to me. I was definitely like quite sore and I didn't want to move. Like I kept my body just lying down like this, kept my hips in line with my shoulders and just kind of stayed straight like that. So I spent 1 week in the hospital. They pumped me full of all kinds of IVs with all kinds of different liquids and medicines. Maybe that was why I didn't have pain. Maybe there were some painkillers going into those IVs. No, like it wasn't a great experience in the hospital. It's never nice being in the hospital for an extended period of time. But you know, I was well taken care of. There were nurses that were there all the time. I had a like personal caregiver, like so she was there to help like feed me because I couldn't sit up. I couldn't really roll over for the first couple days. If I needed to use the bathroom, she was there to help with that. They had like quite good food. They were giving me like even like oxygen and stuff like once or twice a day to help make sure that there was no phlegm in my chest so that I wouldn't be doing any coughing, because coughing obviously would not be good for the back like post surgery. Fine. So I was in there for a week. Towards the end of the week, I was, you know, starting to like roll around a little bit more by myself and, you know, kind of lie on my side, and I was able to feed myself, which was a relief because I hate being fed. So at the end of a week, they discharged me, and then that's when they said, yeah, you're going to have to lie down for another 5 weeks. Come back to the hospital in 5 weeks and we'll check on you, which shocked me. absolutely shocked me because everyone I've seen on the internet in Western countries, they're saying they're in the hospital for a day or two and then they're sent home. And they're encouraged to start like walking around after 2 or 3 days, right? Because they don't want to form blood clots and they want to make sure that your muscles don't like weaken, and you want to just keep things moving, and that's a good way to heal. So I was really surprised that the doctor didn't want me to move for 6 weeks. So I ended up getting like a taxi ambulance back home and laid down in my bed, and my absolute saint of a girlfriend has been taking quite good care of me for a long time. Around the third week after surgery, I started like walking a little bit. Would get up and I would go to use the bathroom, and then I would just come back and lie down. Again, not really any pain, just like my body is a little bit stiff from not moving, and I was very aware of not moving in a way that would have any impact on my healing. So be very careful how I sat up, be very careful how I stood up, be very careful not to bend or anything. Towards the end of the fourth week, I started walking even a little bit more than that, where I would like just get up to also get like delivery food. So I would get up, I'd use the bathroom, and I would get up to get delivery. Also did a little bit of like get up and go to the shower. Anyway, now we're into the 6 week is starting, and I stand for about like maybe like 5 or 10 minutes a day, so still not much. Still mostly lying in bed. Still trying to not move and let myself just heal. I guess I haven't had any pain. I haven't really had any discomfort. I'm feeling really confident that by the end of the 6 weeks I'm going to be quite good, able to like move around, and I think that there's going to be very, very low risk of reherniation as long as I keep limits on myself about how much I move and how much I lift, and like the amount of time I spend sitting down. I do plan on doing some exercises at home. I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to the hospital to do physio because it's so far. Like again, it's about an hour cab ride away, so I'm not sure if that's good in my condition to sit in a cab for an hour, just to go to physio. From what I can see on YouTube, most people that are doing like physio that are sharing exercises, everyone's basically doing the same kind of stuff. So I'm thinking I'll probably do some of those by myself at home, after I've had another check-in with my surgeon just to see how things are going. So it's been annoying kind of lying down, but I'm feeling quite confident. The experience being in China, like, yeah, it's Chinese hospitals are a little bit different, but they're really good. They take quite good care of you, and when it comes to health, like China they don't take risks. Like they aggressively avoid risks. I guess would be a way of putting it. Like with COVID, like I've been in China since the start of COVID. That's I could talk about that in another video if you're interested. They got a handle on the virus like really, really quickly, through being quite aggressive in the measures they took to prevent the spread. And in the hospital, again, they're avoiding any risks. I went through so many tests before the surgery to make sure there wouldn't be any risks. And they've put me in bed for 6 weeks to make sure that I don't hurt myself, and re-herniate my back, post surgery. So they do take a lot of care. World class hospital, felt very comfortable, very secure, and yeah, that's my story. Hope you found it interesting, and if you're going through something similar, if you've got a herniated disc and you're worried about surgery, don't be. As long as you trust your surgeon, I feel so much better. Like I stand so much straighter. There's no pain. It's such a relief. I'm really thankful that I did it in the end. So yeah, take care and good luck. Bye.